Our first reading today from the book of Genesis is part of one of the most important stories of the Bible, the fall of the human family. We all know the basic story. It's told symbolically in Genesis, and we may think it's just a quaint tale, but it isn't really. In the beginning, God gave Adam and Eve, the human family, life and every kind of blessing. God gave them a garden brimming with life, a paradise. The only thing they were not to do is to take the fruit of one tree. Of course, they did. And they think they're bigger than God. They sin. Now, our reading today describes what happened after that. They feel disconnected from the garden of life that they're living in. They retreat into themselves. They hide. Where are you? God says to Adam. I heard you in the garden, but I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself. We can hear in this wise story what happens when sin comes into our world. People feel disconnected from life. They become afraid. They retreat into themselves. They distance themselves from God, and they blame others for it. She made me do it, Adam says to Eve. The snake made me do it, Eve says to God. It's the government's fault. It's my mother's fault. It's my husband's fault. It's my wife's fault. It's the world we live in. That's what we say today. Sin doesn't like to be recognized. It pushes the blame on someone or something else. In a fallen world, there are consequences. And the book of Genesis describes some of them. Life isn't a garden of paradise anymore. It can be hard. Life can be hard. A brother kills his brother. Cain kills his brother Abel. A fallen world can be tough and violent. But listen to the last part of our story today. God promises to bring life again to the human family. Evil won't triumph. With the Lord there's mercy and fullness of redemption. God brings life through the world, through Jesus Christ, his Son, the Son of God, God himself, who came into this world in the fullness of time, and that's our belief. Now, the coming of Jesus Christ into our world is described in St. Mark's Gospel, which we read today also. It's in a very simple way, in a very interesting way, the coming of the Lord is really described. Mark says nothing about the birth of Jesus, notice in his Gospel, or his early years. His story of Jesus begins at the Jordan River. He's baptized by John, and then he starts his ministry, teaching and curing in the town of Capernaum along the Sea of Galilee. That's where our Gospel has him today. Crowds are gathering as they go into the house in Capernaum. A crowd so large and insistent that they can't even eat. They're excited about the extraordinary things that Jesus said and did. But our reading today indicates that despite what Jesus said and did, there's some who weren't impressed by him at all. Scribes have come from Jerusalem, Mark's Gospel says. They're the smart people of the time, and they're not impressed by Jesus. He's not one of them. He doesn't have the right training, or maybe the right color of the skin, or the right mailing address. So they dismiss him outright as a child of Satan, who uses diabolic power in doing what he does. So don't listen to him. Keep away from him, they say. But the Gospel mentions others too, who may really surprise us. Relatives of Jesus, family members, have come down from Nazareth. They've heard what he's saying and doing, and Mark says, and they set out to seize him, saying that he's out of his mind. Now this is his own family from Nazareth, who've known him since he was a child, who have talked to him and ate with him and worked with him and watched him grow up, and they think he's out of his mind. They come to Capernaum to take him home. In Jesus Christ, God has come among us, and it's possible that we don't recognize him. He came to his own, and his own received him not. Scripture says, God has entered our fallen world, and many don't know it. But we should recognize him, and we should know him. Our Redeemer has come. Our God is here. Where are you? He says to us. Here I am, we should say. What do you want me to do?